Hi guys, I wanted to do a quick video reteach on angle measures. I know we're going to be using them a lot this week, and it seems like there was some essential issues with a couple things. So first of all, when you look at any coordinate plane, this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. I think that caused some of you problems. The other thing is I noticed that some of you were really struggling with identifying this as the starting, where your starting point is, and that you're going counterclockwise. So if you were asked to find, let's say it was 5 pi over 6 radians, to sketch that out, what that tells you is because this is 0 degrees or 0 radians, or if you went around again, it'd be 2 pi radians. And then over here, this is 180 degrees or pi radians. If you were asked to sketch in 5 pi over 6 radians, because pi is halfway around the unit circle, that means you have to sketch the sections so that there are 6 sections in the top half of your circle and 6 sections in the bottom half. And I know my sections are not very even, but this is really a sketch. It's to give you a picture of about where things would lie. So, so 5 pi over 6 radians would go 1 pi over 6, 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6 radians. So that angle would lie in the second quadrant, or at least the terminal side of that angle would lie in the second quadrant. If you were asked to find 5 pi over 3 radians, in that case, that's like looking at the top and the bottom as being broken into 3 sections each, something like this. So if you needed to find 5 pi over 3 radians, well, then you would say, well, this is 1 pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, 3 pi over 3, aka pi, 4 pi over 3, 5 pi over 3 radians. So then that angle, I'm going to get a new color now, would be all of the first angle was, but it would keep on going. So the terminal side of that angle would lie in that fourth quadrant. Okay. Some of you were okay when you were radians, but when you had to go into degrees, that's where you had problems. So I'm just going to give you the circle, in fact. So let's say you were asked, and I'm going to zoom in just on this little section over here. Let's say you were asked to sketch in, we're going to do 104 degrees. So 104 degrees, I know across the unit circle would be 180 degrees. So I know vertically, ooh, that's a horrible angle, sorry. So I know vertically up and down is 90 degrees. So I know 104 degrees is going to be all of the 90 degrees plus a little more, right? So probably an overestimate, but that the terminal side of that angle would end somewhere over here. And that means my sketch would look something like this. This is an angle with 104 degrees. So you were okay when it was 104, but then when you were asked to find a reference or a coterminal angle, that's where you struggled. So a reference angle is how far you are from the x-axis. So reference angles will always be positive. That was an issue for many of you. So let's talk about quadrants again. Remember, this is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the distance from here to here is going to be 180 degrees minus 104 degrees. So 100 minus 100, nothing, right? So that part goes away. 80 minus 4, is 76 degrees. So pro tip about reference angles is that you should be able to say, okay, 104 plus 76, yes, that does equal 180 degrees. Okay, so my reference angle here is 76 degrees. So when we go to label these out, your angles in quadrant 1 should be between 0 and 90 degrees. Angles in quadrant 2 should be between 90 and 180 degrees. Angles in quadrant 3 should be between 180 and 270 degrees. And angles in quadrant 4 should be 270 to 360 degrees. So when you were asked to list angles that have the same reference angle in all 4 quadrants, if you were given 104 to start, well, you'd say quadrant 1 would be 76 degrees. Quadrant 2 would be that 104 degrees you started with. Quadrant 3 would be 180 plus 76 degrees. So 256. Because 80 and 70 is 150 plus 100 plus 6. And then that last quadrant, I would say, well, what's 360 minus 76 degrees? So 360 minus 70 is 290, minus 6 is 284. So that would be your 4th quadrant angle. And then if you were to sketch these out well, you should end up with like this butterfly effect that some of you noticed when we were building our unit circles yesterday, where they have about that same amount in each part. So now let's talk briefly about coterminal angles. Last thing I'm going to do in this video. So coterminal angles have the same terminal side. So if I take a unit circle, if I was given an angle like, let's do 202 degrees. Well, I know halfway around the circle is 180, and I know 3/4 of the way around the circle is 270, so 202 degrees is going to be somewhere in that 3rd quadrant. So somewhere over here. And so to find a coterminal angle, you could say, well, 202 plus 360 degrees. So that would be all the way around your unit circle, 360, plus another 202 degrees. So 562 degrees. Or you could go in a negative direction. You could go back here and you could say, well, what is 360 minus 202 degrees? So 158 degrees. And some of you were very close, like within 2 degrees, you just subtracted slightly off. So that might have been an issue for you too. If you still have questions about degrees, radians, reference, or coterminal angles, please come see me.